Hold up, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Miscellaneous Minds Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
We are reviewing the ring card and the Canelo card that happened this past weekend. Let's talk about it.
So, as of the recording of this, we're actually recording on Sunday. Obviously, the two different cards that happened were the Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, and Devin Haney card on Friday at Madison Square Garden. I'm sorry, not Madison Square, Times Square. And then obviously on Saturday, we had the Canelo and Jaim and Canelo fight in Saudi Arabia. So we want to go over these real quick, just because I'll be honest with you, some things played out exactly how we said. Some things were a gigantic surprise. So let's go through it. So first of all, Teofimo Lopez dominated Barboza. It wasn't like one of those where, he knocked him out and it was just, exceptionally phenomenal. He just dominated him well. He did everything he was supposed to very well. Like we said, look, it always depends on what Teofimo shows up. The right Teofimo showed up that night. He dominated the fight and then ended up taking the W. It is who we predicted to win, so we got that 100% correct. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure we had both said that they was going to go to UD. I can't remember quite correctly, but I'm pretty sure we both said via UD. Anything you want to say about that one, my man?
Not particularly.
No? Okay, yeah. Again, not super impactful. Happened like we said it was going to happen. But shout out to Teofimo for coming in correct, and putting on a show. Next, we have Devin Haney. And listen, he fought the exact fight, and I mean the exact fight that I said he was going to fight. A boring, very, very timid, calculated fight. Go back and watch the previous video that we did on it. It's not me trying to, Monday night quarterback this stuff. It's exactly like I said it was going to happen. Before we actually started recording that, I told my boy here, look, I think because of his previous loss to Ryan Garcia, I think he was going to come in very, very carefully because he wants to win, right? Because if he were to lose a second time, people were to say, we're more than likely going to say, oh, see, Ryan just beat him. He just sucks, blah, blah, blah. So Devin needed to shore up a win here, and he did exactly what we said he was going to do. Boring, calculated. To the 12th round, a lot of running. People even started basically saying that he has now beat Shakur Stevenson in the fight that Shakur had versus De Los Santos as the most boring fight ever. We're going to do a separate video on these types of fighters in particular. But Devin Haney won a fight, a boring fight, just like we said he was going to win. He wanted the dub. He was going to do everything to make sure there was no chance of him losing. What do you got to say about that, my man?
I will say, I definitely am going to eat my words as for one or two occasions. For one, for this fight, and the next fight we're actually going to talk about a little bit on the night. I actually had predicted that this fight was actually going to be at least the most exciting that was going to be on that weekend. It was the one that I was actually the most hyped about. And this is one of those ones where I feel like the premise of it to me was overpromised, and by extension, I overpromised, and then the event itself, it just under-delivered into a big mess right here. It was one of those things where I feel like the ingredients was going to be at the very least ripe for a potential for one of the dark horses of the card right here, and it just didn't pan out the way I think it would, and I do think maybe it was me trying to look on the more optimistic side of things, but it did pan out the way you said it would, and unfortunately, that's egg on my face. And to be fair, this isn't gonna be the only egg on my face that we're gonna preview on in this card. So go ahead and go on to the next.
Yeah, man. Again, I knew Devin Haney was gonna play it safe. There was no way that if he took another loss, there was just no way that he'd be able to get anywhere near the money that he would want to get in the Ryan Garcia rematch that we were all looking at getting at the end of the year. That being said, let's move on to the spoiler for that fight, that rematch. Rollie came out and dominated. And listen, we both picked Ryan to win. There was a number of reasons we both picked Ryan to win. We didn't think, if you watch Rollie's last 4 or 5 fights, it just did not pan out as a disciplined, as a direct, as a smart fighter. Rollie was a go in there and smash things up type of guy. Sure, you can say, I guess in some instances he tries to set traps, but I don't think he ever did it effectively. But again, and I'll say this as many times as possible. Go back and watch the previous video we did, because there's something that I said in that video about this fight. I said that I was surprised at the press conference. Rollie was very calm, very calculated. Normally, Rollie talks a whole lot of shit, and which he wasn't doing, which was very surprising to me. That Rollie didn't do that at the press conference. So I said, hey, if he keeps up that mentality, maybe he'll shock us, and shock us he did. This man came in very calculating. He stuck to the game plan. I actually watched video of his coach before the match, just getting some light sparring and just getting in some work. Hitting the pads right before he would go out to me Garcia, and the double hook. It's something him and his coach worked on, and that's exactly how he knocked down Ryan Garcia in the second round, which is a little bit ironic given that Ryan Garcia is usually the one that does the knocking down with that hook. So listen, after we saw what happened, me and my boy, we were talking, and I told him, look, if this Rollie stays the way he is, if he doesn't get too big for himself, if he doesn't get in his own head about shit, if he stays calm, calculated, Rollie can be a spoiler for all these dudes. I was thoroughly surprised, but happy. Because I'll be honest with you, one of the things that I told my boy here is that if Rollie didn't win this match, people are going to start talking about, hey, man, might be time to hang it up. Because, again, he was losing to some old guys. He was losing to a gentleman that was in his 40s. That was a nobody, no disrespect. It wasn't a great look leading up to this match for Rollie. But listen, Rollie went in there and he shocked everybody. He got the dub. And he did it in the way that, again, even though I didn't think was going to happen, in the previous video, I did say, if he does this is how he could win. And he stuck to the game plan. Shout out to him. And shout out to his coach, by the way. Because his coach clearly knew what he was doing. What do you think about that, my man?
There are 2 points that are absolutely poetic about what happened in this card, especially with Ryan Garcia and Rollie Romero. For one, it was Ryan Garcia's own words used against Devin Haney. All the performance-enhancing drugs in the world could never make you drop your own hands. And he said that to Devin Haney, criticizing Ryan Garcia for the alleged use of his PEDs. And to be honest, that rang true the first time. And guess what? Those words hit different, but the same this second time around. Because Ryan Garcia dropped his own hands against Rollie Romero, and guess what? Got clocked, and that was the one deciding factor of Rollie Romero winning this matchup. And 2, the other poetic thing about this was the fact that the speculation about the rematch between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, all the hype was killed off initially by Devin Haney's countless lawsuits and allegations towards Ryan Garcia, and throwing every single excuse out the gate about the speculation of what actually happened in their first time around. Now, the shoe is on the other foot, because Ryan Garcia effectively killed his own hype by losing in the very match on the road to the rematch. And if that isn't at the very least poetic, that both of these men are now one-on-one in killing their own hype leading on the road to their rematch, Rollie Romero is basically the poet laureate that we have going on today. And if I can just say one more thing, the fact that Rollie Romero is actually going on a new character arc where he's actually a little bit more sympathetic. I'm pretty sure some people might have actually seen that. Ryan Garcia was actually crying in the on his limo back to his Fed camp or whatever. Rollie Romero actually saw that video and actually responded to it and says, look, I've had my mental struggles too. I can completely understand why he's going through that. So the fact that Rollie Romero, of all people, is now going through a sympathetic character arc and at least going on a little bit more of a humble route, shout out to this man. Whatever words you have about Rollie Romero, he is now showing his champion colors through and through, especially going on to this route. Shout out to him for his new character arc, man.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things that I completely agree with you on. It was in the ambulance that people got video of Ryan crying and, clearly breaking down a little bit because he lost to Rollie. And the fact that Rollie did come out, this would have been the perfect chance for Rollie to be an asshole, but he didn't. He said, hey, look, I've been there, man. I get it. You'll get back on it, so on and so forth. The good thing about that is I'm pretty sure Rollie and Ryan are actually buddies. Like, they're actually homies. Like, they respect each other. So I think to a certain degree that played a little bit of a part in it. But you are right, man. This new character arc that Rollie has been developing is working for him, and it's clearly paying dividends. So he needs to stay on it. Hopefully he stays humble because, listen, I'll be one of the first people to admit I was writing Rollie off based on his again previous 4 or 5 fight performance. It was not looking good. He was competing up against top dudes like Tank, and he clearly got knocked out on that one. Then he was losing to Barboza, but I can't remember the gentleman. Ismael Barrosos, yeah, that gentleman. He was losing that one. He basically got a handed victory on that one, and that gentleman I think he's like 41, 42 years old when that happened. It just his career was not looking great. It was not looking great. So to see this turn around, I'll be honest with you. I told my boy here, I love it. I'm glad that Rollie's getting it together, and I truly, truly hope that this is the start of a good career for Rollie. Shout out to him. Now let's go on to Jaime Munguia versus Bruno Sorase. We asked, was Jaime going to get his revenge? He did. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it was the best way to get his redemption. Yes, he got his W back, but not in the greatest way. I'm a little disappointed by it, if I'm being honest with you. I think Jaime is of a higher caliber than Bruno Sorase, but clearly Bruno Sorase showed his chops. He stood in there, and yes, it went to UD, but Jaime Munguia won, so shout out to Jaime. Same thing, not a whole lot to say on this one. It was just kind of a basic down middle of the road win. But anything you want to add to that, my man? Yep. No? All right. Let's move on to the final fight, and I got a couple things to say about this one. So we have Canelo versus William Scull. First of all, William Scull, huge disappointment. Basically, the man went in there to try and not get knocked out. And Canelo even made a comment at the end. He's like, this is why I hate fighting these guys. They basically come into the ring just to make it to the end. And clearly you could tell at the final bell, or normally when the boxers hug, Canelo wasn't having any of it. He was telling him to Scull, what the fuck, man? Like, he was basically complaining to Scull. And I agree, man. The fight was boring because you can't force someone to fight you in this type of scenario. We're going to make a separate video on these types of fighters that do this. Because I think a lot of people say, oh, technical fighter. No, it has nothing to do with being a technical fighter. But listen, Canelo got the W, which I'll be honest with you, I was glad to see, mostly because I hate seeing these dudes that just run around. Because it's not like there was too many points where William Scull was engaging. That being said, at the same time, I also noticed that Canelo slowing down, which again, he's announced his basically more than likely going to retire after this 4 fights that he signed with Riyadh season. So, I'm not surprised that he's slowing down. It's a little disappointing, if I'm being honest, see Canelo slow down like he did. But listen, again, you can't make a guy fight you if he doesn't want to fight you. And William Scull was not there to fight. To be honest with you, he was probably there to get a paycheck. And don't get me wrong, he secured the paycheck for sure. But I think, it's one of these, you win the battle, but you lose the war types of things. Because I saw 1,000,001 people in the comments of a bunch of different videos. I never want to see this man fight again. Talking about William Scull. I never want to see William Scull again. I don't ever want to see him in a title fight again, so on and so forth. So, yes, he may have gotten this bag, but I feel like long-term, he did himself more damage than anything else. What do you think about that, my man?
This was an absolutely hard match to watch. And again, not because of the brutality, but because of the lack of it. This was 12 rounds. No exaggeration. 12 rounds of Canelo trying to hit William Scull, and William Scull was basically dancing around this man. There was more times where Canelo was actually trying to advance a little bit more on William Scull. William Scull might have basically given them the obligatory hook or jab, but it looked like, for the most part, it looks like Canelo was doing most of the leg work, no pun intended, going on to any advance of the round. I'm pretty sure I actually saw a stat. It was actually by CompuBox that said the Canelo Scull combined to throw just 445 punches, breaking the all-time CompuBox record for least punches thrown in a 12-round fight. And look, this is a combined effort. This isn't just William Scull dancing around the ring. To be fair, if we're gonna be completely honest, this is Canelo's fault too. This is a smudge on his fight record, and it's one of those things where it takes two to tango. And to be fair, that precedence takes true for both rounds. For both fighters. William Scull needs to actually try and get in there and actually fight. And I'm pretty sure there was I think it was in the 8th round, the referee actually brought both of these men in and said, look, man, you got to throw something out there. And the moment when the referee, when he's in the middle of the action, is saying, look, man, you're not really making this, you're basically making my job relevant here. What are we really doing here? And at the end of the day, this is one of those times where it's really disappointing to really justify being a Canelo fan. Like, if I was going to try and convince somebody on my end that's not a boxing fan, that's not a fight fan whatsoever, to invite them over to my place to watch a boxing fight, and this is what transpired, I'm not going to lie, I'd be really embarrassed at this performance.
Yeah, I completely agree. Definitely not a standout performance in any way. Definitely a forgettable fight. The one shining thing that came out of this is at the very end, after Canelo was announced the winner, so on and so forth, the fight that everybody's been asking for got announced. Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. I believe they said September 14th. It's going to be the week.
September 12th.
I checked that. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the week of September 16th, whatever that is. Just because September 16th is obviously Mexican Independence Day, so whatever day is closest to that September 16th date, that's when it's going to fall on. It's one of those things where, again, a number of people have been asking for this for quite some time. I think it's one of those fights that is going to be... listen, originally, I was never fully for this fight because I feel like Canelo's not going to get the credit no matter what. Because, again, we have Crawford coming up, so on and so forth. But listen, if enough people clearly want this fight, make it. And it's been made. So we'll see. That was the one gem that came out of this whole thing. So it's nice to see that happen. We'll see how it goes, man. I'll be honest with you. After this performance, I'm not super confident that Canelo can beat the man. But we'll definitely see. Terrence Crawford is, definitely a generational talent. So, again, based on this performance, I'm not super confident, but listen, we'll see how it goes. Again, William Scull was just not there to fight, clearly. So maybe because Terrence Crawford is more of a fighter, maybe he'll be there to fight on that night. So we'll see how it goes. But with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit. And
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.